All right, we're doing a tiger now, and we're going to start with the base coats using Unison soft pastels and doing the same techniques that we've pretty much been doing. We're going to put the soft pastel on there in the direction of the hair. We're going to do it small motions. If it's short hairs, it's going to be short motions. Long hairs, it's going to be long motions. And this is me sort of trying to figure out what color matches the tiger. So I'm going a little bit too saturated, which goes back to my more theory. I'd rather have it a bit too saturated, 15-20% too saturated, that's fine. Because once it's behind glass, it's gonna be better looking than if it was not as saturated and then it's dull. So just go in the direction of the hair using our Unison pastels in a variety of different colors. So obviously, again, rubbing it in with our finger because we want a nice thin layer, because when you come back with the pencils, if you have a big thick layer of cake frosting, the pencil's just going to separate the cake frosting thick, nasty pastel, and you're not going to be happy. So nice and thin, nice and light with a pastel, thin strokes, small strokes, get it nice and thin in there, and gonna have a good day with that. So direction of the hair, blah blah blah. So the background for this particular tiger was kind of hard to do because I don't have that exact color that the tiger is. It's an interesting color. Actually went through 3 of my pastels that I have sort of the orangish colors in, and I could not match that color. And it's also difficult to match because not only do you not have the color, but there's so many varied colors in there. If you zoom into the tiger, you'll see 5 or 6 different colors in almost every part of the face. And that's very difficult to match because those are all thin, small lines. And we'll come back with some colored pencils and tackle that, try to get that sort of replicated with a variety of colored pencils and just do a colored pencil overload and try it out. Mine as well. So here again I have like a light blue, have a light purple, have a white, have a light yellow. So on the left side here, you'll notice it has more light hitting it, his fur, and therefore it's lighter. So I'm going in with this white and this light gray, light blue, light yellow combo to get that side a little bit better looking. And you'll see on the right side, your right side, it's darker, and so the yellow is more prominent on that side. So here we go with the nose, and just want a little yellow at the bottom of that nose. Again, rubbing it in with our finger. So now comes the search for what color is going to be best. So I'm trying out a different variety here. I have that color there is pretty close to that bright yellow on the bottom of the nose. So I'm just getting that. And again, short strokes, direction of the hair, blah, blah, blah. So you'll notice the nose, the middle section is bright, and then you have sort of a foreshortening of the nose on the left and the right side, and we're going to do that with pencils. Those are such small little hairs in the side of the nose that you don't really want to do that with a pastel. So I'm doing a little measurement here, trying to get it right. And I end up making the eyes a little bit too small, which is all right. It sort of takes away from it a bit, but it's all right. So here I have this mid-tone sort of stuff color here, and I'm just applying it around, and that's going to be a nice base coat for like most of the face. A nice base coat for that. So in addition to that base coat, we want to add some lighter dashes of light, some darker dashes. So here you can see I'm coming in with this lighter orangish thing and I'm just sort of trying it out. So this is such a neon orange that I really want to be careful with it. So just making little dashes to represent the hairs, right? And so all of a sudden you see up there I have a little texture. So it almost looks like I broke out the pencils and got some texture up there. In reality, I'm still using soft pastels. So you can do a lot with soft pastels. You saw on the cat where we got so fine-grained small lines with that pan pastel that it looked like hair clumps, which is hugely beneficial to us. All right, now I'm trying out dark colors and I just can't seem to get the one I want. So I'm doing like a dark maroon, I'm doing like a darker red, I'm doing all sorts of different colors, trying to figure out what's right. It's difficult, again, to match that, but in reality I should have just waited for the pencils, but I wanted to get a little texture in there. It's like a bonus texture, you know what I'm saying? It's better to have a little bit too much texture than not enough, as long as you did it right. The direction of the hair, thin, light. If you go in there with a big honking pastel the size of a small car, try to do these little fine lines, you're not gonna be a happy camper. So here I'm coming in with the lighter yellow and blending that throughout the nose. And here's my base coat color. I think it was like yellow 20 or something. This is yellow 7, I think. So get that nice yellow dashes in there. And when you rub it in, it lightens it up some. So it's not as dark or not as prominent. So if it's too bright, when you rub it into the paper, the velour, then it reduces the intensity. So you're just making little dashes. Then coming in with this white, because you have the white on the side, coming in that with the dashes. Sort of getting a nice rub in through there, get a nice base coat section. So we're gonna go for the top. The top is so easy, look at that. The top of the head has almost no detail. It's actually really surprising. I mean, you have hairs and such, however, the amount of colors at the top of the head compared to the nose, for example, nothing compares. That nose has like 5-7 colors in it. It's bananas. Like you zoom into it, we'll zoom into it here in a second. I'll show you just how many colors that thing has. When we go into the pastel pencil section, it's intense, it's rough. You gotta get it right. Here we go in with our base coat color. Get a little smidge up there of color. Again, doing the short hairs, getting them nice and short, getting some dots and dashes up there. Makes everybody happy, dots and dashes. Everybody loves dots and dashes. So I want to say something about this bright white. Again, you'll notice that it's not bright white where I'm doing bright white. It has a yellow tint. So what we're going to do, we're going to come back into those areas with a colored pencil and then make some defined hairs that look great, and then it's going to be way too white. And it's at that point that I want to come back with a little yellow tint. And you can do the yellow tint with a pastel pencil, a hard pastel, a soft pastel. You just want a soft yellow tint, right? You want to ease up on that bright white. You want to keep a bright white for those whiskers. You see his whiskers right there. Those are neon, eye-burning bright white. We'll keep the bright white for those. But as far as the hairs up top of the head, under the eye, you do want them white, but you don't want them just intense. So you got to be careful. Match your values. Your values are how light or dark it is. You just want to match that. So in other words, below the eye it's dark, around the nose it's darker, and then as you go underneath him, on the right hand side, on the left hand side, his body hair right there is really dark because it's in shadow. So we want to represent all of that. And you can't do shadows with just black. You'll see people doing that. They'll see, oh, it's a shadow, and they'll try to add grays or blacks or whatever it is. In reality, it looks terrible. What you got to do is you got to come in with a darker version of the color that you were using. So in this case, orange, like dark orange, right? So if you look at the bottom right, that's trending brown almost. So you sort of want to get those brownish oranges, and you can get a combo, right? You see that pastel I'm using up on the head right there, that orange. You can go in with that and then come back in with a brown. And so now you've darkened it, but you haven't just sapped all the color out of that area, which, you know, solid black will just kill the color, just remove all of it. So here we go again, the shorter hairs, getting a nice base coat color, right, then mixing it in. So the base coat, mixing that in with the yellow, mixing that in with a little orange. You see this? Coming in with the yellow and making dashes. And that's going to give us that texture and that realism that we want. So again, we're trying the foreshortening of the nose here. It's going to look terrible. So, you know, apologize in advance. This is the ugly stage. If you're out painting or drawing in public, everybody will come around and see you draw and want to look at your stuff during the ugly stage. But when you're finished, nobody's around. When you're finished and it looks great, nobody's around. But this stage, yeah, everybody. It's the way it goes. Got to deal with it. So now we're going to the bottom left and right. As you can see, we're starting out with our base coat because that's sort of where that is on that left side there. And now we're getting a little bit of that saturated orange, just sort of decorating this out. And that's not going to be our primary color, so fear not. We're mixing it in with other colors. So we got that little bright spot there. And then we got more of a base coat color. So this left side is not too dark. We're going to come back in and darken it later with pastel pencils. The right side is a little darker. So let's get our base coat in. Let's get a little bit of the light in the very corners. Get a little bit of the little darker base coats going there. And they're really dark up there. It's actually black, got a stripe there. But we can mix in the base coat color and the orange and the brownish dark brown and make it look good. You have that nice combo. The more colors you can use that are similar, the better your drawing is going to come out. So here I'm just coming in, just making some texture. So it already looks sort of like fur. And then we're going to come in with our Giro Super Pastel, Giro Pastel, the black, obviously, and do all the stripes, and then do the eye, and then we'll come back with the pastel pencils. So this has been the base coats for the Tiger. Again, Unison Soft Pastel on velour paper. Velour is such a speed paper. So fast to get anything out the door with a velour. Looks good. Doesn't look as good as a high detailed pastel mat. Still looks great though. Very realistic. So this was velour and Unison